Hello and welcome to All Things Foster, a place for coffee, connection, and community. We have a great guest that's going to hopefully shed some light on some things for foster families. But before we get to him, real quick, if you've got a teen heading towards college, I want you to check out College Solutions, LLC in Amarillo and their lead college funding pro, Angie Grimm. College Solutions helps families navigate the college admissions and financial aid maze, handle funding strategies, scholarships, and even test prep, saving you money and stress. Angie and her team have guided hundreds of families through the process of finding a school that fits and keeping retirement and long-term budgets intact while doing it. Want to get ahead so college doesn't catch you off guard later? Visit collegesolutionsllc.com. Schedule your free consultation. That's collegesolutionsllc.com. And guys, Angie does not just serve the Amarillo area. She serves families all over. So just because you're not in Amarillo doesn't mean she can't help you. She's a great lady. She and her husband are very big supporters of our nonprofit. And so definitely check her out. She's a great lady, and she can help you kind of figure out how to get your kiddo through college without, mountains and mountains of student loan debt. So check out Angie, give her a call today. So today we're going to talk about autism, and so we've got Sam Mitchell on, and he's going to kind of shed some light on this topic for us. So Sam, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me. Good to be here, brother.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to talk to you. I mean, this is not a topic that comes up a whole lot, and I think it's one that I think you're trying to work to raise awareness for on your podcast, right?
Yes, sir. I think this topic is so beneficial, essential, and crucial all in one word. That could be a word, but I don't think you can combine those words.
Yeah.
But it is so important because it's growing. All the numbers, they keep growing on the diagnosis. It was 1 in 36 back then, and now it became 1 in 33. And nowadays it's probably has grown. I don't know the exact number, but the latest I know is 1 in 33. You'll have to look it up to see the number today.
Yeah, so it's definitely something that is out there, and so I wanted to have Sam on to talk about autism, and hopefully give some parents some wisdom and some ability to kind of recognize some signs and symptoms and things like that. So, Sam, what's the name of your podcast?
Yep, so the name of the podcast is called Autism Rocks and Rolls, and through the podcast, it's just grown so much, man, very unexpectedly. It's grown to a nonprofit with sponsors, a board of 6. I do events in Indianapolis, where I'm from, and I've done speaking engagements. I've spoken all the way to the top in Canada, to the bomb south in Orlando. I know next week, when this day is, which today I don't know when it's coming out, but April 22nd, which is the day this is recorded, so the next Sunday, which is the 26th through the 28th, I will be in Oregon speaking at a parenting conference.
Wow, that's awesome. So you have some unique experience with the topic of autism, and so the important part, I think, to note is that you live this, right? This is your lived experience, and so you can kind of speak to this topic in a way that a lot of folks can't.
Yeah, you're talking to a guy who has had autism since he was 3 years old and probably not going anywhere.
Yeah. So take us back. What do you remember in your early life with autism? What does that look like for you?
Well, diagnosed at 3, I can't remember much because I've slept since then. But what I can remember is when going through life in school, I dealt with all the stereotypes you can imagine, the bullying, the exclusion, and people not wanting to handle someone who was out of the box and unordinary and did what he chose to do versus what others wanted him to do, or these trends that go on. That was never me. Maybe I hopped on a couple of trends when I was a kid, like playing with Beyblades, but that's the only one I could think of.
Yeah. My sons used to love Beyblades. So what did it feel like for you growing up with autism?
Confusing. It was so confusing because I'll be honest, this world's not built for me. And just part of life in this world doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's aspects of people lying to little children because they want to make them happy. That doesn't make sense to me. Why aren't you telling them the truth? Here's a great instance I can speak on. So we used to do an event where we sold food, and one of the people with autism spun the wheel. They didn't get a prize. The lady asked, "Hey, she doesn't understand why she didn't win. Can we just give it to her?" Now, of course, being the soft spot guy, I said yes. And then she told this lady, "Hey, I won something. I spun and won on the wheel. Why are you not telling the children? Here's the deal. You're on the spectrum. You're not on the spectrum. You don't get anything." Versus
Mm,
telling them, "Hey, you didn't win anything on the wheel, but she did." That's not
yeah.
true. We're giving
Right.
it to her because she's on the spectrum.
Sure. Yeah. So what is your how do you feel like people misunderstood you the most growing up?
I think the way that people misunderstood me the most growing up, it was the socialization. I mean, I've said stuff that was out there, out of the blue, maybe the truth. I've gotten the big eyes before, like this, and it was, why would you say that?
Yeah.
That's something you don't say, or you shouldn't have said that at the moment, or
Mm.
that was kind of an odd thing to say, or it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so that's a struggle, and so you're struggling with kind of interpersonal dynamics, understanding cues and clues and things like that because of how your mind works. And did people were they somewhat understanding and forgiving, or were they pretty harsh? Or did it depend?
Well, depends on who you talk to. My
Yeah,
staff at the school, wonderful. The majority of students, thumbs down,
yeah,
unfortunately,
sure,
I'll have to say. There are some hidden gems here and there, but for the most part, no.
yeah. So for the folks that did it right, that connected with you best, what did they do? Do you think that helped you versus those other people that just didn't?
They cared and they understood that
Mm,
some of the stuff that I was doing was not intentional. I have a friend who shall remain nameless. She knows I'm blunt, but it's not because of me trying to be a jerk. That's just literally my brain is wired that way. I'll tell you how it is. Versus the person who gave the big eyes, they thought it was, oh, he's a rude person.
yeah.
No, that's not the furthest thing for me. I would give someone the shirt off my back if they were homeless. But because of how I'm wired, I'm also going to maybe tell that homeless person, is it possible you could get a job? I mean, I'm not saying it to be a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, maybe there's a way I could help you out, get on your feet by offering here. Maybe they have this hiring at Wendy's. Why don't we talk to that person getting you a job?
Mm, yeah.
Because the least that you could do is ask.
Yeah. Sure. So what is your core message? I think is you're not broken and need to be fixed, right?
Right. Because a
So what?
lot of people think when you're on the spectrum, you need to be fixed. I mean, we've been compared to meningitis before.
Mm,
We've been compared to a disease
right.
as you're going to get if you're around us. No, that's not accurate. I've been around plenty of people, and not one of the people I've been around with came up with autism. They already had autism before I met them.
Right. Yes, not it's not a disease you can catch. Wow. So what do you think happens to folks that have autism and people kind of treat them as if they need to be fixed?
Well, what happens to the people who need to be treated to be fixed is they get robbed from the system, and they get so misunderstood that no one wants to be around them, no one wants to even tolerate them,
Mm.
or they don't know how to.
How did you get to where you're at now? How did you become comfortable in who you are and what you do and how does that come about?
I decided to quit people pleasing because for 15 years I tried it and it didn't work. And if you take nothing from today, if the listeners take nothing, people pleasing to me, it was a crutch. It was the
Yeah.
biggest crutch of my life. After I
Yeah.
made that decision not to, it was the best one to this date because I felt more relieved. I felt more confident. I felt like I could do more items and actions in my
Mm.
life
Yeah.
compared to when I was a people pleaser. Biggest one was making friends. After I decided to quit people pleasing, decided to be myself, I realized I can actually do this and make some buddies. Versus before, maybe I did make some buddies or it failed tremendously, or the buddy I did have, I was so nervous to be around them all the time because I felt like I couldn't be myself.
Mm. Yeah. So let's connect this to foster care. So, kids already feel like there's something wrong when they're removed from a family due to a bad circumstance. And so, we how do you you said you had a family on a guy on that was on your podcast that ended up receiving a child that was on the spectrum. Let's start with if a family brings in a kiddo and they don't know if that kiddo's on the spectrum, what are some things that might be kind of a an insight or something that might say, hey, this kiddo might be on the spectrum.
Well, first of all, if you have a suspicion, educate yourself on it regardless, because if you're a foster parent, yeah, you could run into that. You
Yeah.
very well could run into you take some child in with autism, and because you have been affiliated with it in your life, which is not your fault, you don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
you are just now stuck with more of an obstacle than a child in your eyes. So you have to know the research, know the cues, which some of the cues are that I can definitely tell you is the ones you hear all the time. Yes, repetitive interest and restricted interest, repetitive behaviors. They have their fixation on something. Maybe they're fixated on cooking, for example, and they want to only be in the kitchen, not go to school. Instead of being in school, they'd rather be in culinary class at the Culinary Institution of America in San Antonio, Texas.
Mm. Yeah, so fixating on something, whatever the thing is, that's a big cue
Yeah,
that
no
we
eye
might be.
contact, no, and the social cues we were mentioning, no looking you in the eye. My guess, according to my mother, when I was younger, if you said my name several times, I didn't respond. I was in La La Land, apparently. And then for older, the foot and mouth syndrome, like I mentioned before, they're too blunt and they respond saying, "Oh, I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry." It's like they say, "What?" They don't realize what they've done wrong.
So missing some social cues, repetitive motions or activities, and then like zeroing in on something, whatever the thing is, and like not being able to think about or do other things are big cues that they might need to be looked at for being
Yeah,
considered
and
that they
then
might be on
sensory
the
issues is
spectrum.
another one I just thought of. If
Sensory issues. Yeah, what
the
does that look
sensory
like?
well, looks different. For some, it's the fact they only eat certain foods because
Right.
the texture is just terrible on their hands. I'll give you a great example with me in particular. It's wet clothing.
Mm.
I don't mind the rain, but if I go in the rain, if I had a choice, I know I can't, so I don't encourage anyone to do this. But I prefer to take my shirt off if I could,
Right.
because the reason is if I get my shirt wet, brother, I don't know how you people tolerate it. I know for a lot of people it's like, ew, wet shirt, fine, I'll keep it on, it's tolerable. But
Yeah.
for me, it's like, no, I can't
Right.
do that. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. 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 So social, or I mean, sensory issues. They might just have a very strong, like, excuse me, aversion to a texture, a type of clothing, something like that.
Yeah, or maybe something's too loud or too like a rock and roll concert. Good luck with that for some people with autism.
Yeah. Mm. So what are some things that they can do if they see and they suspect that that they have a kiddo on that might be on the spectrum, or if they have received a kiddo that they've been told is on the spectrum, what are some practical support mechanisms that you recommend?
Well, for sure therapy. I mean, I've heard all the controversies with ABA therapy, and if you don't believe in it, I understand, trust me. But I'm not going to say it's not bad either. It depends on how the child is. For some, it has worked. I met a mother who they said if they didn't take their son to ABA therapy, they didn't know where they would be, would not handle it well. I'm one of them
So
probably because if you took it to me with ABA therapy, I would see it as controlling, and I'm one of those people who just doesn't like to be told what to do.
so for our folks that don't know, what is ABA therapy?
ABA therapy stands for Applied Behavior Analysis, and it's just showing you behaviors that instead of doing this, you can do this. So say when you get mad at biting people, you do something else.
Right. So you've run into some folks that's been beneficial for, and some that it hasn't.
No, yes, yes, yes. It's been a coin toss for that one.
Yeah. So other than that, where do you recommend that they start? If they say, okay, this either they've been told this child is on the spectrum or they suspect it is, where do they start? How do they begin?
Well, I do suggest starting with the doctors because doctors will give you the facts. But I think where you do start after the child has been diagnosed is I think you start off with the online as well. But online will only tell you, for the most part, the negative stuff. Your positive stuff, that might be through an expert, that might be through a therapist, that might be through another parent who's been through the same situations you have, because they'll know what's going on in their brain.
And that's just so important because a person with autism, their brain is different, and so they what that foster parent might say is, this doesn't make sense to me, but it makes sense to the kiddo, and so like we need to figure out how to make this work, right?
Right.
And
And
start
then,
and
too, I don't think
go,
people understand how much it can affect us, too. I mean, for some people with autism, they are non speaking and it affects
right.
their speech. Sometimes they don't speak. Sometimes I ran into someone with autism who uses a lot of verbal crunchers. Every 5 words, it's, like all those words. For some, it's like they speak for 5 seconds and then they stop for 5 seconds, then they speak again. For some with autism, I have a buddy who stutters. And then for me in particular, I speak a little too fast.
Yeah. Yeah. So say that a foster parent's got a kiddo that has autism and they're in the middle of a meltdown. What are you speak on this? What should they do?
Well, avoid the trigger, for one thing. If
Yeah.
you figured out the trigger, because sometimes they may not be able to communicate with you because of them being non speaking, you might have to play Clue and figure out the trigger yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
for some, if they have a widespread of communication, like I do,
Mm-hmm.
then they can communicate to you with the trigger. Or they may say something that's coming across as kind of odd, but in their brain, they're trying to tell you this is the trigger. Please don't
Yeah.
put me in front of it. That's what
Right.
another kicker is right there. People need to understand. It's a spectrum. People think it's just autism and they assume it's everyone's in the wheelchair. We can't go to the bathroom on our own. Our IQ's low. We can't brush our teeth. And I'm not going to lie, that is several people with autism. There is a population like that. But there's not everyone on the spectrum like that. I met several people who are in the middle of the road. maybe they go to work but don't live on their own because financial stability will be terrible.
Yeah.
But then you have some who are like me, who is actually in the process of getting a job, and in the process of moving to his own apartment, and can do really well for himself in life, just may not be able to understand social stuff and maybe a little bit delayed. So biologically, I am 23, but if I had to estimate my mental capacity, I would say it's like 19 and 21.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's amazing that you're self-aware enough to say that, right?
Yeah, it's very amazing to have that, but some don't have that. I mean, trust me.
For sure.
I got a buddy right now who shall remain nameless. Logically, in his brain, he's probably, I think, in his late 20s. But mentally, I would say he's maybe like a, trying to think of the age, teenager, preteen.
Mm. Yeah. So what? Let's say that a family's trying to do something that they think's gonna help, but it actually makes things worse. Like, what do you recommend for families that are trying to help but they just don't know
They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a hard battle, but we need to enjoy the good moments because
Yeah.
your child with autism will have good days. I have plenty of good days, trust me. I can tell you that from a personal standpoint. I've had some rough days, yeah, I'm not going to lie,
Yeah.
but I try to tap into what they're into as well. So maybe your child can't go to the zoo because of the crowd,
Mm.
but they don't mind fishing. Well, take them to a lake and fish.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of a trial and error to figure out what helps versus what doesn't.
Yeah, it really is. And then for work, if you're trying to get them on a job, I would definitely pick a place that's inclusive
Yeah.
because I've done several job search arounds and I've landed one that's very inclusive with my company I'm going to work for. But before, I won't say which restaurant, but I could just tell with the restaurant it wasn't inclusive.
Yeah. So you with your experience in the podcast and speaking, you are speaking to folks to try to help them be more inclusive and be more aware of what can help.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
what can help too is not only tapping into their interests, but at the same time, treat them like everyone else. You don't give them a free pass because they bite someone.
Sure.
There's got to be some retrospect of discipline. It may not be a spanking, but it may be putting their head down.
Yeah. So I know some things that I think are really beneficial. So like being predictable, having a consistent routine is really beneficial.
But yeah,
right?
I definitely prefer my routines. I like routines in some cases. Now, some people with autism, depending on their higher or lower understanding of the world, they could be very rigid with their routines.
Yeah.
Mine in particular is I am very tedious when it comes to something I'm passionate about. So
Sure.
autism rocks and rolls, yes. Very strict, tedious, routine-ish ordeal, yes. But when it comes to going to the arcade at Dave & Buster's, no. I'm pretty laid back.
Yeah. Yeah. I know one of my best friends has twin boys that are that have autism, and early on we were just watching them. They were about three or four, I can't remember, and so we were keeping them so that the mom and dad could go have a date, and we had told them we were going to go to the park. And so they were in a stroller, so we were walking towards the park, and they knew how to get to the park from their house, right? And so we were going to just get off the path for a second to get some bottles of water out of the car. And they were like, no, the park is this way. It's this way. It's this, And so what we ended up having to do is, okay, you continue on to go to the park. I'm going to go get the water and then, join back up with you guys.
You handle that the right way. I'll tell you that you handle that the right way.
Right. They
I've
knew
ran
where
into
they were
that too
going.
before because I'm always not a fan of like mini tasks because
Yeah.
they focus on the bigger picture. So
Yeah.
a great example is I used to have a life coach, and one time before we were driving to my life coach, I accidentally spilled Dr. Pepper on the truck. My mother told me, "Oh, we need to clean that up, yada yada, before we go. We'll stay in your truck." I told her, "No, I don't want to do that right now. My brain right now is solely focused on arriving on time to my appointment with my
Yeah.
life coach,
Yeah.
not this Dr. Pepper spill. I'm not saying I'll ignore it. I'll clean it up when we're done or when we get there. Right now, let's worry about getting to the appointment first."
Yeah. 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 So having that predictability is really, really beneficial.
Yes, sir.
And then maybe what slowing down communication is that's pretty good.
Breaking it down a little more can be very
Yeah.
helpful, yes. But it
Sure.
also depends on what it is. You don't need a breakdown. You're going to the bathroom. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what? And then giving space. You talk about giving the kiddos some space.
Yes, I think with me in particular, what I've learned is when I'm angry, the more you chatter with me, the more I'm gonna get worked up and basically turn into a Gordon Ramsay and tell you and pretty much cuss you out. Pretty much
Mm.
cuss you out.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do for me is until I chill off, leave me alone or don't come around me, or you will make me turn into the Incredible Hulk.
Right. But then
And I
there's
don't want to go
still
there. Trust me, I don't want to go there.
sure.
But it's a reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when that happens, there's still excuse me. There's still a need to come back after you've calmed down and say, hey, I lost it. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. Something like that. Repairing the relationship.
But that's my problem too. While I'm turning to the Incredible Hulk, at the same time, I can't go back to that problem because my mind is I'm so angry. This needs to be solved now, or yeah, I'm gonna get more mad.
Mm, yeah. So you do motivational speaking. What do you say to a foster parent right now who's got a kiddo that's struggling, they're on the spectrum, and they just feel overwhelmed right now? What do you speak to them?
Well, I would say if they feel overwhelmed, is everyone take a few steps back. Everyone get some space. Maybe go take a walk. Go get a drink of water. After that drink of water, though, yeah, it might need to be solved. Or if you're like me, who is like going through the tornado, you may need to go through it because they may not be able to let go of that problem until it gets solved. I'm just telling
Mm,
you that right now. If you guys step back, fine, but don't expect that they're going to be moving on until that problem is solved. They get rock brains, is what I have to call it, which is when someone gets mad at someone, they might let it simmer in their head and then talk about it again. That's not us.
yeah,
Rock brain is there's a rock, it's stuck, it's not going to be taken down with the crane unless it's solved now.
yeah. What do you say to a child who is in this home and is feeling misunderstood?
If they're feeling misunderstood, find people who will find you interesting. I've always thought as the time when I was going through this, oh, I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm going to be bully excluded. No one's going to find me interesting. I realize now that was a really dumb decision and idea because I figured now there's 8 billion people on Earth. Someone's going to find you interesting. It might be someone you don't expect. It might be you. It might be a World War II veteran. It might be a foster grandparent,
Mm,
but someone will
yeah,
and take you in. It's
yeah,
just unrealistic that all 8 billion people are going to hit the red X buzzer on AGT.
yeah. Mm. So how do you think having autism has s- helped you be successful?
Creative, outside the box thinker, good at problem solving because I don't let the problem go until it's solved. And I try to let it go, believe me. I've done K through 12 speech therapy. I like to say, while I love the speech therapist, I don't mean any harm by this. She did wonders with the social cues. It elevated my social skills really
Yeah,
well.
sure,
But did it help with the rock brain? No. I still have that to this day.
sure, sure.
So I think sometimes with the child and parents, you got to pick your battles. My mother has accepted I have rock brain.
Yeah.
While she accepted the fact that I have rock brain, she won't accept me biting someone, which
Mm-hmm.
is understandable. I get it. So I'm just
Right.
saying you got to pick what battles do you really conquer.
Mm-hmm. Pick your battles. Yeah. What strengths do you think that folks with autism bring to the world that we need?
I think what they bring to the world and what you need is the aspect of just trying to understand logic, because the way we think about it is logical for the most part, but then if we have to, we can be illogical and cross the line. And some people who are bosses won't do it. I'm
Mm,
the type of person who doesn't care, and I will cross
yeah.
that line. But don't get me wrong, with me in particular, I'm going to try to think of the logical way first.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I have to cross that illogical way, then we're screwed. Then not well, not we're screwed. We'll go for it. Here's your example. I don't know if I can use bathroom humor on here, but I think we can. You'll understand my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're using the bathroom. You're doing your number two, and you have no toilet paper. Well, your logical step is clearly to go get more toilet paper, but we're
Mm,
out of it. You have no toilet paper. Clearly, you can't be sitting on a toilet forever. So what are we going to do? We're going to find something to use. And it might be a tissue. It might
mm.
be we clean our backside with the walls. I know it's not ideal, but trust me, we're trying to solve the problem now and we're not stuck on that toilet. I guess I
Mm.
know it's kind of disgusting maybe and kind of funny, but I think you understand the point.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta fix it. What do you out of what you're doing right now, what are you most proud of?
I would say I'm the most proud of just doing something good for the world, because even though this world's not built for me and I've dealt with so much in my life, I still want to do good for the world. And I always want to have the chance to, but never had the opportunity to. And here's why those worlds not built for me. I'm smart enough to see that while in my eyes this world is unfortunately the majority of the America is full of just not nice people.
Mm,
There are some good people in this world. And I'm not going to say everyone is so mean, I'm not going to do help anyone out. No. There's a good population of good apples.
mm-hmm.
They don't deserve to be categorized with the bad apples.
Yeah. So helping people see and understand what folks with autism struggle with, and so raising that awareness and hopefully encouraging people to see things differently.
Yep, that's what I want to do. I want to encourage people to just get out of their comfort zone and see what we see. I know that we need to see what you see. I get it.
Mm,
I think it's
yeah.
fair. But we shouldn't
Yeah.
have to do it all the time. It needs to
Mm,
be 50-50. I see what you see what I see.
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, let's say somebody has cancer, right? We need to be aware of how to help them get through that issue, right? And by the same token, we as the public need to be informed about how to communicate with and how to help and walk alongside individuals that have autism, right? Not
Right.
that it's a problem to be solved, but you guys see things differently than the majority of people. And so how do we help the folks out there know better how to connect with and how to support folks that have autism?
I think what people need to do for those with autism is to give us a chance. I mean, we live in this country where you say everyone deserves a chance. I think sometimes that's just not true because people with autism aren't getting the chance. There's a humongous population of people with autism that are unemployed because people aren't giving us the chance.
Right.
We want to work, but you won't accommodate to us? What? You do that to your other employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those with autism, I'll tell you from experience too, are some of the best workers out there. They don't want to make mistakes. They're punctual. They're probably the better employees than some people without autism.
Yeah.
And you're taking those over us? What?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely, I mean, yeah, we've got to make space and you know, try to do what we can to accommodate and be, like you said, be inclusive.
I know, it just mind blows me that this world promotes it, but sometimes doesn't follow it. And I think with people who see autism, I think we are aware of it. And I will give props. We've gone far away from back when people were institutionalized because they had autism. So I'll admit, I'm very happy to say we're no longer institutionalized and we can walk on the street. But do I think people are still accepting? No.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand sometimes when we make a joke and it crosses, excuse my voice, and it crosses the line, but people in our eyes think, ew, you made that joke? That was rude. No. Sometimes they actually don't know better.
Sure.
And they were impulsive. They made the joke and they thought in their brain, oh, it'd be great laughing. I didn't see anything rude with this. Why am I getting in trouble?
Yeah. 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 So the biggest piece is awareness. So where do folks find Autism Rocks and Rolls?
You can find me on your favorite media platform. I'm not a hard guy to find. If you Google me or search engine optimization, something will pop up. Just do me a favor. Don't search my name because you get a basketball player. Google search Autism Rocks and Rolls.
Yeah. And it's on YouTube. It's on, you know, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the places. And then you have a website.
Yes, my website is Autism Rocks and Rolls. Thank God we got that to work finally. But no longer defunct, but it was defunct. But thankfully it's working now, and it just tells you what's coming up down the pipeline and what other resources you can use for jobs, for trying to get your person with autism on the right path. Just gives you a lot of people that can help as well.
Yeah. So autismrocksandrolls.com.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Sam, I really appreciate you coming on. This is not, it's not an easy topic, and it's not an easy thing to do, to come on and you know, kind of put yourself out there. And I appreciate not only you coming on this on my podcast, but in general, getting out there and raising awareness and trying to help some folks that definitely need it. I really appreciate that.
Of course, absolutely, man. I mean, I think it's growing. It needs to be spoken about. And thank you again for your time. And I just hope you take something from today. And I hope that the next person you see who might have autism, you think again on who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. You know, our organization, Panhandle Orphan Care Network, our primary goal is to provide placement packages to kiddos that are coming into foster care. So every kid gets a suitcase, a Bible, a teddy bear, a book, a toy, and a blanket. And then beyond that, every placement package is customized to the needs of that family in that moment. We try to deliver these placement packages within 24 hours of when the kiddos get placed. And so in order to do that, you know, we are a nonprofit, and nonprofits are businesses, and they need funding just like every other business. And so what we ask folks to do is to consider becoming a placement package partner. Placement package partners set up a monthly draft to come out of their checking account and just help us to grow, to be able to reach more and more families. Last year we did 161 placement packages. This year we hope to do 250. And so in order to get there, we need folks to consider setting up this monthly donation. You can do that at panhandleorphan.org/donation. Guys, $100 a month buys us all the clothes we need for one placement package. $50 buys us a case of diapers, and $10 a month buys us one outfit each month. And so in order to get there, it takes all of us to be able to reach these goals. 600 kids come into care in the 26 counties in a given year. And so we need your support to get there. So please consider going to our website, painandorphan.org/donation, and set that up. Thanks, Angie, so much for coming, for sponsoring an episode, and for the support that you do for our organization. If you're interested in more information with her, go to collegesolutionsllc.com and set up an appointment. Again, Sam Mitchell, look for Autism Rocks and Rolls, and you'll find a great podcast and some great information. So guys, thanks for tuning in today. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this episode with your friends. We've got great content that we put on here that really helps foster and adoptive families and the community become more aware of the issues that foster and adoptive families face. So thanks for your time. Thanks again, Sam, for coming on.
Of course, man. Thank you again, brother.
Absolutely. And you guys have a great day. Thanks.